Hello, friends. Before we dive in this week, I want to just thank all of you that have been participating in our training by sharing your comments in our discussions, sharing ideas with each other. I've mentioned this to many of you, but one of the blessings and curses of my assignment is that I get to hear from so many of you the thoughts, the ideas, and the experiences that you have. The curse side of that is that I'm the only one that gets to hear it. These trainings are a great chance, not just for you to receive content and to practice, but also to share with others so that they can benefit. So if you haven't yet, will you please jump onto the current training for this month? Last week was this introductory page on helping students be active learners. And this week, we're going to put that discussion into practice and make a list of actions that students can take while they're in class. If you read the training last week, you know that one of the common practices we have in seminary is that we invite students to do something at the end of a lesson. However, they very rarely do it. They've got so many other things that come to them during a day that they forget. And a lot of times those invitations just become background noise. If we want to help students actually become converted to the gospel, they're going to need to act. And the best place and time for them to act is when they're with us. And so our training this week is going to provide some ideas, and some of you have already jumped in and given some suggestions. We're going to make a list of things that students can do in class. And then next week, we'll use that list in an actual lesson that we'll plan together. As a couple of examples, as we study sections 133 and 134 this week, there are a whole host of truths, doctrines, and principles that we can study. In fact, this is a really great place to exemplify what we talked about this week in our training, which is the difference between learning for testimony and learning for conversion. We want to have both, but traditionally, we usually focus just on the testimony, what students should know or believe. And in a section like 133, the appendix to the Book of Commandments, when there are doctrines about the second coming and preparation for the second coming and the gathering of Israel, we could spend our entire study this week just focused on mental exertion and logical, intellectual outcomes. However, if we really want students to become converted to the gospel of Christ, they have to experience it. They've got to practice it and act it. And so here's a couple of ideas for how you might do that in a class this week. One of the emphasized truths in section 133 is the preparation for the second coming. And if you read the teacher material, there are some great ideas about how to start a discussion by asking questions about what that preparation might look like. There's some great group activities and individual assignments. All of those are great. However, they focus on learning the truth, not so much on actually applying it. And so one idea might be this. A phrase that's repeated over and over in section 133 is, "Go ye out." It's repeated 5 times that I found at least. 3 of those times there's a commandment to go ye out of Babylon. In other words, to flee. Babylon is the representative of the world. And the other 2 times they're commanded to go ye out and meet the bridegroom. And as I think of that, I think we could do something in class that would help students leave, at least in a little bit, the Babylon of the world that they might have with them, and to greater meet the Savior. So rather than just talking about it, we might invite them to do something like this. Everyone grab your phone out. I want you to find one app on your phone that connects you to Babylon, that keeps you there. And I want you to delete it. And then let's talk about which ones you're deleting, easy or hard. Which one did you delete? Which one did you delete? How do you feel after you deleted it? Is there a second one that you want to delete? Or are you not able to delete one yet? And why not? Could be some great discussion about that, but the action is what's important. They just left Babylon a little bit by deleting an app off of their phone. Now, to go ye out and meet the Savior, let's have you download a new app onto your phone that might help you better connect with the Savior. And of course, there are some really great ones that the church provides. There's the Gospel Library app, which hopefully students have downloaded. But there are some other great apps that they could download as well. The Just Serve app, the the Gospel Living app that connects them with their youth goals in the Children and Youth Program. Any of those might be a great way to invite them to better connect to the Savior, or you could help them just use an app that they already have downloaded. Show them how to take notes and tag notes in their phone. Show them how to create a notebook in the Gospel Library app. Doing that will help them become more converted to the Savior because they're actually doing something in class. A second idea. There is, of course, a great discussion to be had about missionary work, gathering scattered Israel and spreading the word in section 133. And that discussion is probably a worthy one to have. But in addition to it, let's invite students to do something. So a couple of ideas. I love verse 29. It says, in the barren deserts, there shall come forth pools of living water, and the parched ground shall no longer be a thirsty land. And I love that. When I read it, I didn't just learn something, I felt something. I felt what it feels like when I feel parched or barren, and how grateful I am for those that provide living water or pools. And so maybe we can invite our students in discussion to identify some places where they feel like there might be some barren ground or parched earth. Maybe that's a place in their own personal life, or maybe more powerfully, a place in the lives of friends or family members. There's someone you know that right now is missing something that could or should help them. And if we can identify those places, now can we actually write up or type up a message that you might send to that person? Or maybe you spend a little bit of time crafting a social media post, an Instagram post, or that will send some living water or a pool into that barren desert or that dry ground. Let's actually do something. Now, you'll come up with your own ideas as you study, but remember that the Doctrine and Covenants tells us that we learn by study and by faith, and we all know that faith is a principle of action. So as you study with students this week, help them to learn both by study, by reading and discussing, but also by faith. Invite them to act and watch as they become more converted to the gospel of Christ. God bless you, brothers and sisters. Have a wonderful week.